Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. We wanted to start this new year off with a fun class. As you know, as sewers, embroiderers, boom, it is next holiday, right? We just finished Thanksgiving and Christmas sewing. Now we're on to Valentine's, spring. Easter's right around the corner. So let's get busy. We're not going to take a break. It's on to the next season here. So I'm Amy. If they don't know me, I'm Amy Bachman from Amy Bachman Sew and Quilt. My retail store is in Harmony, Pennsylvania, just north of the city of Pittsburgh. And Amy Sews is where I hang out with my scan and cut and serger classes and subscription boxes. So I have two different lives. So you're seeing me on Amy Sews Facebook, Amy Bachman Sew and Quilt Facebook, Amy Sews YouTube, and Amy Bachman Sew and Quilt YouTube. So it'll stay on YouTube. Facebook will erase this shortly. Hey, everybody, come on in. Say hello. Northwest Ohio. It is freezing here. We had about 6 inches of snow last night. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Kay. Vicky's here. Franny. First live. Yay. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. So you can see over my shoulder, this is the project today. Hi, Carol. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you the inspiration, how this came about. And I was looking for something kind of Valentine's-y. I'm not really a heart bow kind of girl, but I was inspired when I saw this project. And I'll take this off the mannequin so you can see it up close. But hey, Miss Bonnie. So, one of my favorite things is clothes shopping, but as a big girl, I'm kind of limited. So, that's why we make a lot of things or create a lot of things. Hi, Fran. Hi, Birdie. Cheryl. A lot of familiar faces here today, which I am so about. Welcome, Susan, for your first live. I love that. I love doing these classes. So keeping everybody inspired. You spend a lot of money on your sewing equipment. We want to keep it going. All right, Lisa's from Port Charlotte, Florida. We're going to excuse her. My friend PJ, Jamie, the Sew and Sell crew are already on the ship in Miami. I joined them the 8th, I think. I'm doing a crafty cruise. I'm teaching actually rhinestones. What am I teaching? Rhinestones. I'm doing acrylic jewelry. Epoxy jewelry and needle felting, I think. I don't know. But anyhow, so it's cruise season. So if you guys sewandsellcruise.com, if you want to hop on and see where we're going next, we can do that. Okay, Marilyn. All right, we're going to get busy as everybody is popping on. I can kind of watch the YouTube comments. Ed's at home. Going to keep his eyes peeled. Now, if you want to get the embroidery files, the files are free. You're going to go to amybachman.com. It'll post the link in there. My name, amybaughman.com. They're on the front page. We didn't hide them. You just click on them and off you go. Susie, girl. Got to get you back on a cruise. Welcome from North Texas. I'm going to be in Dallas on Monday. I think that's North Texas. Texas is so dang big. All right, let's get busy. So a couple things we're going to talk about today in the class. We're going to talk about making these little ties with these little coned bias binders. I'm going to show you how they work. A lot of you are taking that quilted tennis shoe class. This is the perfect way to make your own shoestrings. I'm going to review this in the sewing aspect of things because we have to make strings, right? This, we're not going to be, this applique is included. It's just a simple heart applique with some extra details on it. And then we're going to talk about the lace up here and what that is. This is in your files. You have the tall, the medium, and the small. So there's all three separate, and then they're grouped together. So if you want to do all three, you want to do just two, you want to do one. I just did one here on a sleeve of a sweatshirt. This is the one we're going to work on today. So we're going to talk about stabilizer. We're going to talk about lacing things. We're going to talk about anything you want to talk about today. So if you have a question, Oh, Mary Helen, I will not. I will be at a business meeting. I am buzzing into Dallas on the 8th. The 5th. I'm buzzing out on the 8th and jumping on a cruise ship in Miami to teach on crafty cruises. So that's where I'm at. It is an in and out this trip. Usually I go to Dallas Market, but there's no time this year for that. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about stabilizer, even though I do stabilizer is kind of a little controversial, but I will tell you the stabilizer that I used, because it is a knit and it's stretchy, the stabilizer works best if it's fused or stuck. Does that make sense? Tearaway lets the knit shift on top of your project. So this is a new product. Should I say it? I'm going to say it. Anyhow, so my friend Julie from Designs by Juju, we are her pick, pack, and ship for her warehouse. And she has new stabilizer coming out, and I got to test it, and it's so exciting. I love this new stabilizer. It is a no-show mesh. It's a fusible mesh. I don't know what her official name is for it. The container's just arriving. So Designs by Juju, you can purchase stabilizers there. If you're local, you can come in the shop and purchase. But we all talk about no-show mesh being a very shrinkable thing. This is a very small shrink rate. I always tell people to hold an iron about 1 inch above it, steam it, let this shrink up so your project doesn't shrink up. Hey, Rain. So this is a very nice stabilizer. I'm excited about it. It's going to be released soon. So just keep your eyes peeled on that. So stabilizer, sticky paper, which I'm not the best fan of because of just the needle gunk that can cause. And I like the fusible meshes. Now, if you're worried that the density, every 25,000 stitches, you're adding another layer of stabilizer. It doesn't mean it has to be 2 layers of fusible. You can slide a piece of tearaway underneath. Okay, just so you know, you can stack it up. This is not a dense design. It's easy. There's no push, no pull because it's not a solid complex fill. And don't have to worry about that. So I did the embroidery. This is just the single, right? This is the medium size. I did it on a sleeve and I left my cuff attached. The other reason I like the fusible stabilizer, I can stretch my cuff, fuse it in place so it doesn't have that pucker along this edge, right? So that's another reason why I like to use the fusible. This is the Brother magnetic hoop, which is heavy and hard to get the pieces on and off. So I wasn't going to make you sit and watch me do embroidery, right? You guys know how to do that. Once you get it hooped well, the sleeve, I did cut up the back, right? I opened the sleeve up. Hi, Lori. So these 3 here, I did not open this shirt up in any way, but then I'm a big girl. If there's one positive thing about being a 2X is that you don't have to open your sweatshirts to do embroidery. If you're a size small, you might want to consider opening that side seam just a little bit, but that's okay because you can sew, right? That's what we do. All right, let's take a look. So the applique, we're not going to go over, it's just basic. Trace, put the fabric down, tack down, trim, do the pretty stitches. I'll take this off and show you in a close way. See, am I pinned anywhere? And let's lay it down. And I'm going to talk about a couple things you're going to need to make life easy. So I am not a big bow person. So I made these bows are just pinned on. So I made this without the bow because I wanted a little more structured. And then the blue head goes on, it needs a bow. So I didn't plan the lacing to add the extra tails for the bows, but you can just stitch your bows on, and that may be, or just safety pin them on. That way, when you launder them, they're not going to be a pain, right? Ever. So Terry says, I can't wait to use the fusible mesh. I don't know that it's going to be on the cruise. The fusible will not be on the cruise. The regular no-show will be, and the tearaway. So with this sweatshirt, and then here is I added like a little heart lace detail to the edge. This is fabric. And then black and red, I'm not sure that was a good choice, but there's a little bit of like black heather in this sweatshirt. So now's your time to stock up on sweatshirts. These were on sale for $10. We have a department store called Boscov's around here. I think it's an East Coast thing, but Walmart online has good shirts too. So I cut the ribbing off, okay, because I don't want that hooked under my belly. I just don't like how that feels on me. So I cut the ribbing off. And right now it's just turned up with a double-sided tape. The double-sided tape, in fact, it's the coming in your serger box for January. But I'm going to show you guys how to do a quick blind hem on a sweatshirt, which is really nice because the sponge really does well. All right, so this is the tall, the medium, and the small. So you get them as 3 separate designs, and you get them as one combined design. So if you want to make one for a little girl shirt, or I use the medium on the sleeve, so I didn't want a whole lot on the sleeve. This fits in a 6x10 hoop, I believe, and it'll all work. This fits in a 4x4. Yes, I agree. Satin hearts would have gone all the way around it. I just did an overlay over the black satin. That is the nicest thing about having software, right? I see Lori Albright on here. She's a magnificent dime instructor for their software. I use dime software. The majority, I have Brother PE11 when I'm doing things for the Brother. I'm sewing on a luminaire today. You guys always ask that question. And I also have the Genome Artistic software, and I have a lot of software, but that's why it's good to learn your software, right? Even the basics of it, because it really does the job. So let me switch over here. Oops, let me get in. There we go. Let me show you the inspiration for this. So this was a skirt. Ignore the squirrel, please. I'm going to cover his eyeball. I'm not staring at us. So this was the inspiration. This was a very expensive skirt in Naples, Florida. I think the skirt was almost $400. And I liked the idea, but I would have had to buy 5 of them to sew them together so it would fit. But this is where the inspiration come from. I just like that idea. And I thought they could have done better than shoestrings for the amount of the skirt, just so you say. So this is where we're at today. Now, someone just posed the question, could you do it on a side and draw it up? Absolutely. If you take your side seam, and sweatshirts don't have side seams because they're made in tubes, right? But you can make your own side seam. If this was your side seam right here, right, I would cut this. Now I'm talking about, you would have to put 2 rows of these side by side. Okay, so this would be your split. You do a row here, do a row here, do your embroidery first, cut up the sides in between. Now, because it's a sweatshirt, it's not technically going to fray or be weird. And then, yes, you could lace them across the 2. So if you wanted to give yourself a little extra room in the sides of something, you definitely could do that. You could also hem it too. You could do your embroidery, split it, and then fold it back a little bit and just edge stitch around it. You could definitely do it that way as well. But today we're just playing with decorating the squares. Now, if I would have added, again, I wasn't planning on bows because I didn't want that thing hanging. If I would have added another piece, I could have gotten away with that. But what I did is I just laced it through the back. You can see the stabilizer is still in there. And then I didn't do anything yet, but I'm just going to tie them off and then just cut the knots, right? They're just tied off. And then I think I like the idea of the bows pinned because you could take them off for laundering. But I did the side of a sleeve, and we're going to work on that shirt. And so this is the double-sided tape. If you're part of the Serger box subscription at Amy Sews, this is in your box next month. This is the removed ribbing. I never throw this away because this is gold. And you're going to need, this is a little bodkin that has a slot in it. Or if you don't have this, then you're going to need a safety pin for lacing, really sharp scissors. And if you don't have a bias binder foot, and they call this a binding foot, I will tell you, you cannot bind a quilt with this. We're getting ready for one of the sew and sell cruises, and plastic from one of the pockets for Juju's designs had to be bound on the top. So it works great putting thin material through here. And I'm going to pop it on the machine and show you. But that's the brother one. The Janome one is very similar. Okay. It's very similar. It has the cone. This, let's see if I can get it in without taking it out of the package. This is an adjustable bias binder foot. You can see it has this plastic piece right here. This is for pre-folded binding. You just can't put a strip of fabric through here. You have to use the Wright's trim or make it yourself. All right, so I'm going to pop over the sewing machine and I'm going to show you how to use this binder foot real quick so you can get to the laces. I'm going to pop the magnets off this hoop to the detriment of my fingers. Here's a little tool that helps you pop these off. I'm going to set this off to the side. It's a great hoop, but the magnets are so strong, sometimes I struggle to get them on. Someone asked, will the design work on a t-shirt? So the answer is, it's pretty dense for a t-shirt. However, if you stabilize it well, right? That may be the answer. All right, so I'm going to pop over to my machine. Again, this is the Brother Dream machine. It doesn't really matter where you're at. Sorry, I'm still in embroidery mode. And all the files are at abbachman.com. It's right on the front page of the web page, and you can access them from there. All right, I'm going to take this foot off. Now, before I put the foot on, so I have my strips cut at a crumb bigger than 1 inch. And you're going to have to test this, because every machine is different, right? So, and the directions inside that packet from Brother, I'm not sure why they wasted the paper, but anyway, you're going to have to test it because the fabric has to flow freely through there. So here's the cone, right? There's the cone right there. I cut my fabric at a point, the pretty side to the outside. And I'm just going to slide it in here. And this is where the tricky part is. You need to have a pin handy to help get that tail moving. And as you can see, as I pull it through, these edges fold into the inside. And that's what we want to see. The bottom one is kind of a bugger. So when I'm feeding this with my hands, I'm kind of holding it like it's kind of folded in, just like that, just to kind of help it. Leave yourself a tail in the back. Okay. So I can see where my needle position is. I'm going to use, if you have the Brother, you know what left, right shift is. And you can also just change your stitch width in most computerized machines. That will do that. Well, isn't that fun? I don't have a foot control. Here we go. This is going to be easy. I'm just going to use my finger, right? I'm going to slow it down to kind of a putty pace. So you can see how that's folding in. I want that needle to be falling kind of towards the back. This foot is really slick if you need spaghetti straps. You need to bind thin things, like we were binding that thin plastic for the cruise, a single layer of fabric. Like if you're going to do like a dust ruffle, and you're going to gather, then you would bind the edges, your raw edges, before you gathered it to put it in your dust ruffle. But this is how it works. So I can see my needle is really close to the middle. I really want my needle over to the edge of that double fold. So I'm going to bring my needle up. And I'm going to move my needle a little bit. And this is why you want to test your needle width. Does it flow through? If the cone of your fabric is struggling, then the speed through easy, then it's just going to ball up and give you a heart attack, right? So you can see how nice that is. Yes, the fabric is just straight grain, an inch. Thank you for, there is a little PDF, and I mean not little PDF. It's a very cryptic, very cryptic PDF because you have to watch the class. The class is going to stay on YouTube, right? So just so you know that. And so this is one little crumb bigger than 1 inch. It is straight grain, 1 inch by 45. Should it be bias? Bias works so much better. If things get a little squirrely, you can use a little bit of like best press, right, to kind of stiffen this up a bit. But Marilyn Douglas said it would work great for applique stems. I agree, especially if this was bias. This is an easy way to fold and stitch. I have this really cool project. I'm gonna have to dig it out. I used bias tape when I did kind of these designs on the front of this ruler cover. I have to find that. That was fun. But yes, bias is best. But realistically, for you to make 6 straps and cut up a 6, half yard of bias fabric probably is not the thing. So yeah, back to the t-shirt. You're definitely going to have to need extra stabilizer. Definitely to do that. All right, so let's see. Now you can see I have a ton of stabilizer on here, and yes, I fused it on because I want. This is me. And just because it's right for me doesn't mean it has to be right for everybody else, because it's a debatable process, right? But so I can just as easy pull this back. I like, because this sleeve was tapered, I didn't want any part of this knit not supported by stabilizer in my hoop, if that makes sense. You don't want this little bit that has the ability to move without the rest of it. And then it just peels away. And then any of these other small pieces, I just save them and reuse them. Like once I trim all of this away, I'll save this piece and I'll reuse it. Is it fusible? No. But is it mesh? Yes, I can still reuse it. So Dawn, yes. Now this is a brand new product from Designs by Juju. It's been tested, shipped. She does a great job developing this. And I'm so used to shrinking mesh because it's awful when it shrinks when you're done. This has a very little shrinkage, but there may be a little bit, right? But so safe than sorry, an inch above, I give a little squirt of steam and I use it and it's perfect. But this has no stretch, which is what you want. It has no give, and it has very little shrinkage. So I'm excited. I'm very excited about this new stabilizer. So once I would remove this, so here is my sleeve, right? So this is just going down the front of my sleeve. And let me show you how we're going to cut this open. Now, and yes, you should remove the stabilizer by now, but for you guys to sit and watch me trim stabilizer, I don't want this to be kind of a boring thing. I'm going to spark some ideas, get you sewing for the new year. Oh, Lori, that's a great idea. Lori uses it for make ties for baby bibs. That is awesome. I love that idea. All right, so when I auditioned the fabric, where's my big chunk of fabric at? Here we go. So this is the fabric I'm going to use for the heart itself. So I took this dark color and I match it to my thread. And just a little hint, the thread is always darker on the spool than it is when you unwind it. And I don't, as a shop owner, I don't appreciate you coming and pulling all the plastic caps off my thread, but we can always reach in and grab a tail when you lay it on here. So when you audition threads, I always audition the tail and not the spool color. That's just a little hint. So I kind of like this pink and soft taupe color. Here's my nice little strings. So this is this was one of the gifts we put, or gifts, one of the things, goodies we put in the subscription box, and has a slot in it. And again, if you don't have one of these, it's similar to the purple thing. If you don't have one of these, by all means, a small safety pin, it's going to be the way to go. Now, as usual, I have an idea and I want to get through the idea. Sometimes I don't think through the pitfalls. And the one pitfall was, how are you going to open that? Because I didn't want the square so big that I could put like a buttonhole knife through it. And I'm like, oh, what if I seam rip it? But what if I cut it? So here's what I found out is the best way to do this. I just take my finest point scissors. I just give it a little snip to make a hole, put my points together, and I just poked the hole. And this, because the sweatshirt fleece is kind of self-healing, the fusible stabilizer is going to do its thing. We don't have to worry about it. But if you, we kind of have something brewing at Amy Sews, right? Me and my partner in crime, Jim Suzio, we are working on something fun for embroidery, because people, every time we do something embroidery, people are all excited, but our subscriptions are based on the scan and cut, which we absolutely love. If you have a scan and cut, we'd love to have you join us, and using your serger, making things with your serger, creating things with your serger that are a little, maybe a little more challenging. If you don't use your serger for a lot, we have serger projects every month. You can join now at Amy Sews to get the January box. The website's a little under construction, Amy Sews, so just be patient. But we have been asked a zillion times about more embroidery. So we thought about it, and the fact that there are so many amazing content people out there. You have Reen from Embroidery Garden, who is the absolute master of in the hoop, right? There's no doubt about it. And then you have people like Designs by Juju, who does the cutest appliques and, very nice embroidery. And then you have OESD. And, we have decided that it's not about us. What am I going to say? It's not about us. It's about the science behind embroidery. And it's about doing off the wall, crazy things. So one of the projects that Jim and I have already mapped out an entire year. There's a wait list. If you go to the store, amybachman.com, I think there's one at Amy Sews. Let's see who keeps texting me. Maybe it's Ed. No, somebody else has texted me. So what we want to do is the science behind embroidery, and talking about doing difficult things that take you out of your comfort zone. This is not about doing all the beautiful designs that creators sell. This is us doing projects, embroidery projects with tin, with a wing needle, with a twin needle, with making texture with embroidery to use in your appliques. It's about the science behind embroidery. And I'm not even close to being the world's best digitizer, right? I get through. This is not about that. This is about you stretching your limits. So, and I don't want to say I get bored, but when we do events, we make, and there will never be a mug rug ever. Someone says we're making a mug rug. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can't do it. You want to be able to do more difficult projects, stretch your machine embroidery skills, test your machine to the limit. And we aren't working on a hoop size here. We aren't working on what kind of machine you have. I don't know if it's $1,000, if it's $50,000. It's about education and the science behind, and growing yourself and doing some challenging things. And not that this is challenging, it's just a little bit different, right? So at Amy Sews, I think I just dropped the link in there. You can get on the wait list for all the details. It's not going to launch at the end of February. We have the whole year mapped out, and we're calling it the Triple E, the Elevated Embroidery Experience, because this is more about holy cow, I can do that, than just teaching you how to do an applique or teaching you how to put a zipper in a bag. This is crazy stuff, dimensional stuff. Yeah, if you if you know anything about the way Jim thinks, the way I think, you're absolutely gonna, love this program. So we're gonna run it for a year. You can jump in for a year, or you could do it monthly. And here's the best part. If you are a member of Amy Sews, if you were part of the guild, if you're part of the Serger subscription, if you're part of the Scan and Cut subscription, you guys are going to get a special price break for this. So Jane, the Scan and Cut subscription, what it is, it's sold out technically. Just leave your information. We can't open it until I make sure I have enough supplies for the next box. So the February box, you'll be able to jump in. mid-January, I think. Dawn, the out of Ed post the embroidery wait lists. I think it's just at amybachman.com. So we're just going to pull it through. I'm going to leave myself enough tail in the back to tie a knot. You could use an awl, but I didn't. The awl didn't make a big enough hole. I needed my scissors to kind of really make a hole. And so you're going to use 2 laces for this, unless you're a master lacer, right? I'm not a puzzle person, but you're going to do up one side, do the opposites, and then you're going to come down the other side. But the sweatshirt just kind of heels around here's around it. And then once I got this done, right, you would just make sure your ties are all going the same way so they don't get all twisty and weird. We want it to be neat. And then you would come back from the top and go down this way. Yeah, we are the elevated embroidery experience. We're excited about. It's not going to be expensive. And the other thing that's happening in my retail store is if you have an Avenir, a Radiance, a Luminaire, a Dream Machine, a top of the line Epic, those machines are becoming insane to pack up and to carry. A lot of you either sew in your basement or you sew on the 3rd floor. If we have other boxes, will I be first? Yes, Vicki, you will be the first to join. You'll be a founding member. We're going to launch it to our box owners first. There's not a limit because we aren't sending anything here. This is purely education, and you'll have access to them all the time. They're going to stay in your library at Amy Sews, and you'll be able to watch them at any time. The files will be downloaded. I think I'm doing this backwards. See, I can't talk and think at the same time. You guys know what you're doing. You don't need me to tell you what you're doing. But yes, you guys are going to get a discount if you belong. You're going to get first to join, and the price is never going to change. So we're in for a year, right? So that's our biggest problem. It's not a problem, but when we offer Embroidery Club, you have to come watch because it's to drag your stuff out is just inhumane at this point, and most of us are getting older, and it's getting harder to do that with. So that's why we decided to do the elevated embroidery at Amy Sews. Like Jim and I have one more thing to do, but we're going to pound it out, and we have some great ideas and kind of off the wall ideas, and they're kind of ideas that not that anybody else out there can do them, but those who just sell digital designs on their websites are magnificent. But the education it takes to explain why we're doing it, how we did it in the software, how to get it out, how not to ruin your machine when you are, doing tin, for example. And it's a lot about, not about stabilizers, because we're going to talk about stabilizers, but there's so much we really can do with our machines, whether we're doing different hoops, whether we're doing, different types of needles, different types of substrates, right? There's a lot of things that some people will not embroider on for love or money. But Jim and I have a list. The first 12 months are mopped out. So I think how the pricing is going to work, subject to change. This is not a hold me to, because we got to get it figured out. It's going to be $250 for the entire year. Now, this is if you don't belong to the memberships, right? If you don't belong to Amy Sews already, it's $250 for the year, $24.95 a month. We're going to throw a bonus month in there for you guys. And then it'll be a little less if you are a box subscriber. So you'll get your embroidery files. You get the video to watch anytime. We may offer kits if it's something really weird that you wouldn't be able to find that we have to source. Susan, I'm glad you love a challenge, because this is going to be a challenge for both of us. So when I get done with my sleeve, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to attach the heart right up here. And if I would have had a bigger hoop, if you have a big hoop, if you have a 14 or 16-inch hoop, you'll be able to do it all in one. But I'm going to add the heart because we wear our hearts on our sleeves. Exactly. So we're ready to kick off Valentine's Day with our lace up our lace up sweatshirt with our applique heart. Again, all the files are there, the three laces separately and together, and then the heart in multiple formats. And so we're excited about that. Susan, I know you're a $2 subscriber. I appreciate that. We call you double dippers when we're when we're packing boxes. We're getting ready for our serger box next month. I think Ed does have the serger open if you want to jump in on the serger project. And we are actually going to be embellishing a sweatshirt. So I'll give you guys a heads up. If you have like a white or navy blue sweatshirt, we're doing this really cool argyle flat lock decorative thread. So in the kit, you're going to get your charm pack, you're going to get your threads, you're going to get your tape, you're going to get all kinds of things. Oh, do you want to see how to blind hem? I wasn't even thinking. Let's go. I can do a blind hem real quick. Switch machines, wake the machine up. There we go. This is your blind hem foot. Now they're all going to look a little different, right? So this is the blind hem foot and I don't know if I'm going to get the camera over here, but let's see if we can. So a blind hem. It's for the side cutter. I wasn't planning. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 minute. 1 minute. Blind hem, blind hem. So a blind hem, when you look at your machine, I don't want to make you dizzy. I'm going to put the machine in. Nope, that ain't going to happen either. So there, you can't see it. Dang it. So a blind hem, right? It comes down, shoots over, comes down, shoots over, comes down, shoots over. If it is straight with a point, it is for a woven. If it is comes down, zig, 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 point, zig, 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 point, that is for a knit, a stretch fabric. Okay. I'm going to put my blind hem foot on. Now, blind hemming works great on anything that has some weight, right? It's home deck fabric, fleeces, corduroys, denims, things that have some weight to them. The blind hem, just regular cotton, you're going to see the line. Here, you don't want to see the line. So remember I told you I folded my hem up and it's held in place by some fusible, double-sided fusible tape that's going to wash out. Let me find the spot that doesn't have that. There it is. Okay, so I folded it up and it's kind of fused in place. I'm going to fold it back and I just need a little bit, like less than 1/4 of an inch to go to the right, to the right of my rudder. What's going to happen is that little, I call it a pick, that little V stitch is going to come over and you want to grab just the fold, just the itty bit, couple fibers of the fold. The rest of it is going to stitch along those edges. So you can see it just barely caught that fold. Now, when I open it up and look to the other side, there's nothing there. So it's the perfect way to hem this. You could also use a twin needle. If you have a serger where you could cover stitch, you can do a cover stitch. Oh, yeah, the binding foot. Thank you, Terry, for being on the ball. It is SA 109 for brother. And for Janome, you have to make sure you get your 9mm or your 6mm. It's just called a binder foot. Bernina has a whole big attachment thing for the Berninas. But that's a blind hem. You would never use that tan thread on the inside, but you can see you don't see it on the outside. So that is, you switch the Birdie, I'm telling you, girl, that L890. We looked at the year-end Bernina statistics. They send them to us. We sell more sergers than we sell anything because that thing's my girl. But anyhow, so that is your sweatshirt. So now you can get some Valentine's inspiration going. You can put them on the front, put them on the sleeve, put them anywhere you want to put them, right? So just, again, it's an easy project, just a couple little tips. This binder foot alone is worth the money. They're $20-ish something in the brother world, probably 30 something in the Janome world. And anyhow, in between that. But I just ask you, if you have a local dealer, before you hit the Amazon button, pop in. They would appreciate it. Even if you call and say, hey, do you have it? Just to make sure. But yeah, it's been a rough year for sewing machine dealers all the way across the country. Tariffs ate us up. The economy ate us up. So we appreciate all of you. And I'm so excited to start the new year hanging out with you guys. So don't forget to get on the wait list if you are looking for the elevated embroidery experience at Amy Sews, Serger Box, Scanning Hub Box. We do it all. And then here at the retail store, we love seeing you guys come in and shop. And then I'm sure Julie's going to launch that new stabilizer pretty soon. So keep your eyes peeled on Designed by Juju for that. Yes, you guys are amazing. And I can't thank you all enough for your support and liking and sharing and doing all the things to keep us going on social media. Because I enjoy creating, Jim enjoys creating, and having you guys are absolutely amazing. And so I couldn't do this without you. And you make it all kinds of fun. Oh, good. Carol just joined the wait list. Thank you. Because when we do something with, when we do something in embroidery, we get more reaction than we do if I do something with my sergers. So I think the serger is still kind of scaring people, but none of those clubs are going anywhere. We are just growing, and that's the way we want to keep it. So I want to wish everybody a happy new year. If you're having pork and sauerkraut, yum. It's just Ed and I today. So I don't know. I haven't planned anything. I mean, I can do anything, but I haven't planned it. But anyway. All right, everybody. Have a terrific new year. Wishing you warm blessings for 2026. Luck, fortune, goodwill, and especially good health. And may your bobbin always be full. Yeah, Catherine, I'll see you on the cruise. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great new year.